We are back now with David Goldstein of Biltmore Loan. So in the first segment, just before the break, we met Chuck. He brought you a few watches from the 1970s, and they turned out to be worth a small fortune, $42,000 for those three watches. Plus, you valued his new Cartier at an additional $3,000. So I have to ask you, why are watches, and specifically those, so valuable?
And you know, it's really interesting. Let's go back for you collectors of whatever it is that you collect. Let's take the muscle car era.
Okay.
The 1970s, the Camaro, all the muscle cars, the GTOs, all that. Same period. Same period. It was Steve McQueen, Paul Newman, James Dean. These were icons, and what they wore became very fashionable. No different than today, what we say Kylie Jenner or
right.
you know, or any of these, the Kardashians,
Didn't
any of those. Same
TV
kind
part.
of thing.
Yeah.
But you're looking at three of what we would call the muscle car version of Rolex today. These are the 70s watches, and we'll kind of go across. You see, I'll do it from here. Okay. So first you have the Submariner here. This is from the early 70s, and these are plastic crystal. Today you're going to see sapphire crystal.
Okay.
This tells us it's older. Next you see the Pepsi, one of the most iconic watches that they've ever manufactured and one of the most collected. The Steve McQueen became, when Steve McQueen wore it, it was the same as the Daytona. Paul Newman wore it. Recently, the Daytona that Paul Newman made so famous was given to, original one was bought by Jack Nicklaus. Jack Nicklaus's just went up for auction last week.
Wow.
They were expecting $17 to $18 million for his Rolex.
That's amazing. Well, the Pepsi watch that you refer to as the Pepsi watch, he didn't even have a band on it. So people who are watching right now who may have some of these types of watches, is it important?
Condition's imperative. Now, the band, interesting, is almost insignificant on this watch.
Okay.
The band is insignificant. You're buying the watch. So we're looking for the dial condition. We're looking for the condition of the insert for where the red and blue are. And then we talk about, so often you've heard me talk about the model numbers. Mm-hmm. Okay?
And you did that in that piece, the
right.
serial and the model
okay.
numbers.
So if you see that watch and you look in between the lugs, on one end is going to give you the serial number, which will tell you the year it was made. On the other end will give you the model number, and then you can tell exactly what year it is and what model it is, and that is what makes it so much more valuable.
I was so happy, I was saying in the piece when we were watching it, I was so happy we had a camera on Chuck for his reaction. He was stunned.
Yeah, he was really stunned. And so many people are from the 70s. The one thing in condition that really increases the value the most is if it's an original dial that's never been changed or redone, and if you should have the original paperwork. If you have the original Rolex papers, these watches will bring $2,000 to $3,000 more just because of the paperwork.
Why should we see an expert?
For just that reason. You know, I'm passionate about what I do. I love what I do. If you haven't met me, please come by and say hello to me. We have a sale going on all this week with vintage jewelry and handbags. But we love to teach. We love to do the research. If we don't know it, I assure you we'll find out for you.
Right, and you really do the legwork. I mean, you're not just throwing out numbers, and a lot of times people who come to you have been told another quote. And
it's common because inexperience is you know, I tell my son this, who's 28 years old, and I'm a little bit older than that, in that to buy something cheap today is very easy. To be able to pay the price and know what it's worth, that's the skill, and that's what we try to separate ourselves from the others.
I love it, and you do it very, very well.
Thank you very much.
And you guys do free evaluations as well.
Always free evaluations. We welcome you to come in. If you have something you always wondered what it might be worth. Today we're showing you watches. It could be an antique piece, it could be sports memorabilia, it could be a piece of art. If there's something you want to know what the value is, let us do the homework for you. I think you'll be surprised.
All right, well, we're going to be the students in this case, and if you do have something right now in your possession and you want to know what it's worth, email David and his team at info@biltmoreloan.com. You can also give them a call. Again, free evaluations always open to you. In Scottsdale, 480-991-LOAN. Chandler, 480-705-LOAN. You can also visit their website. It's biltmoreloan.com.